Oh, yeah, of course. I'm not going to give a Cliff Notes version.
Jez has done that.
Or like Jez did and search for the missing minutes.
Yeah, we've been an hour into it and then forgot to record.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I never.
Nicky!
Evening.
All right, Nick.
You well?
All right, Nicky, have you had an afternoon nap, Nicky?
You know why?
Thought you had an afternoon nap. You told me
I do.
that you were in the habit of afternoon napping.
You're right. I do normally. I haven't today though. I must be slacking. But all right.
Golf course open, Nicky, or not?
It's been open all the way through, but on winter greens.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's been white, so it can't have been much fun.
No.
You know, I haven't been up. To be honest.
Good job you didn't go up, Nicky. That I thought there was a Yeti on the course.
Is it available to keep it T20s?
I've been
Thought
told
you were doing that, Blaise.
I've been talked around for the T20 campaign this year,
Have
I
you?
wonder why.
but I'm not playing against Paddy. Just for
Can you
the
believe
record.
this, Nicky? Can you believe this? We've got players refusing to play in games. Ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, don't let them play any games.
Oh, fine.
Well, they are refusing to play, but they are eventually playing.
Did you hear that then? Well, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Joe, you're too old to become
Well, fine.
I'll just go running.
rebel.
I'll just go running.
You could pick and choose nowadays, can't you? Because we only have 10.
We used to have to go and pick people up.
Or ring,
Believe
them
it.
up, or ring them up when they'd forgotten they were playing.
I was
Mick
just gonna
Ellis and
say
Frank
that.
Porter are available.
Nicky, how would you gone on with a T20 on a Friday night at 6 o'clock, a league game on a Saturday, and a Worsley Cup game on a Sunday?
I want to play it on Friday.
Would you not? T20 would have been right up your street, though.
Yeah, you could cow it, Nick.
No,
Yeah, swinging from your arse.
no. I was too technical a player. Too much
Hey,
of a
what take some swinging from that horse? Bloody hell, fire.
too much of a
Played Leeds and Liverpool.
yeah. No. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, and then I'd probably play golf Saturday morning as well. 7:40 tee off, so I could get to cricket on time. Oh dear. Gary Morris once had me padded up for what was that in Burnley Express Cup or whatever it were. How many overs were that?
That were 20.
Were it?
Yeah.
And he got me going at number 3, and we were 8 wickets down, and I was still working. Sat with my pads on.
Well, I think you were a student, were you there? Were you at uni then, Stan? Or you finished?
I
Yeah.
think they kept getting fed up with same headline, Heating Stars again, you know.
Dynamic Heaton rescues again.
Another 170 ball 30 from Heaton.
Heating blitzes the bowling.
Oh, that's funny.
Lucky 12 not 8 wins game for House.
Did you keep a scrapbook of your work, Stan?
I have, yeah. Kept a scrapbook since I was a tiny kid.
Oh, can we read it?
Can you put some of them on, Stan? Come on.
You still do it now, Stan?
Well, there's not much to put in it now, you know. I think the last thing I put
Clean
in,
ladies' toilets.
last thing I put in was my British Empire medal.
Oh.
Being on first name terms with the Queen.
God rest
The
her
soul. Yeah.
Did she present it, you, Stan?
No, Lord Lieutenant of Lancashire presented it at Lancaster Castle. I've already met the Queen once, so I didn't fancy going down to Bookhouse, as we call it. And
Do they give it all that? It's sorted on all that business.
no, I'm not Sir Stanley.
Oh, that's only for sirs, is it? Right.
They throw it across room to you. No, it was in the actual courthouse at Lancaster Castle. So you stand there and they read through your CV. I felt totally embarrassed. There were people there who've been running clubs, holiday trips for underprivileged kids. One woman had virtually done everything bar sweep the streets in Chipping. And I'm there for cricket. You know, I felt a bit embarrassed, really, but can't turn it down, can you?
You're just so humble, Stan.
I think you can turn it down if you wanted to.
Well, if you're John Lennon, you can, but that must
We
have
went
taken
to-
a while. What do you
we
usually
went-
use, Scott?
We went to a do at golf club, and he's obviously got his arm in a pot now because he's had an operation, and it was a sit down meal job, so I had to cut it up for him,
Bloody hell.
and then
Did you feed it him?
fire it at him with a catapult.
Unbelievable. Ian Sheridan, hellfire.
Oh, Shez is here. Fantastic. Excellent.
This will
And-
be like 10 minutes now of him trying to get his screen on and stuff like that.
And his audio and his...
Yeah, I can only see 4 here.
How's your
It's
ankle,
Shez.
you fat bastard?
Hey, Shez, I've got my glasses on.
Why are you late? Have you been welding?
26 minutes past, dickhead.
Yeah,
Half
stop.
Yeah,
past,
you're
seven.
26 minutes late, you bell end.
half past, I was told.
Who invited Frank Carson?
7, cheers.
Is your nice Alpine fella doing well, bless?
It is. I'm at one at the ski lodge.
Yeah, like rest of them. They're in Masonic Lodge. I weren't. They won't
Right,
have me.
so.
Hello,
They
Nicky.
won't even let you in
Oh,
Lowerhouse
yeah.
Lodge
Well, good to see, Stan. You're not as smashed as you were last year.
this time. Just finishing my tea now. I'm going to attack the refreshments. You'll start with the Bacardi
Anyway,
and
let's
Coke.
start off on a happy note. Tell me about the Empire State tea room.
We just discussed it, says I'm not going through it again. You should have been here on time.
What are the chances of it taking off?
Well, it's not rocket propelled.
When's British Museum come to pick old tea room up?
Well, one step at a time, Shez. One step at a time.
I bet it can tell some tales, that tea room, Stan.
Well, I've been in one or two,
What
one
do you
or two
mean, Shez?
incidents in it over the years. Who can ever forget when the 2 rats climbed out of the bin and ran across the tea room floor in front of the Islington Ladies Committee? Who promptly screamed.
It won't be the first time they've seen a pair of rats, that lot, will it?
Who promptly screamed, stood on the chairs, and John Carroll said, "Don't worry, ladies, it's just a living crew, it's
Oh. That's
Cheers.
what else to say then.
Hang on, let's just stop with the new development. Stan's just explained how they're going to reinvent the old members' room. I mean, how good would that be if we could get that back with that little stock room and the benches around and
But
some
Sir
memories
Gilles
from
de
there.
Creek, I've saved Sir Gilles
Yeah.
de Creek. Jazzy will be going back up.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we've got another roll of that wallpaper that Clifford put up with green flowers on it.
And a glitter.
Can't really remember the separator rooms.
Can you not? Bloody
You don't
hell.
remember the foyer where you look through that window to see into the big room?
I can remember it. I can remember it vaguely, and I can remember because it was painted like Tudor-esque,
glitter.
wasn't it? It was black and white.
Oh, in the main room, yeah, Jeff Ashworth and crew did that.
And people used to ring up payphone, didn't they, to ask like scores and stuff like
What
that.
score?
Yeah.
What about phone number?
423609. It still
09.
is. And Brian Morris would answer the phone. Been playing an hour. He said, Lowerhouse have gone ballistic. There's 272 for one. And it's a go out over Radio Lancashire.
Anyway, back to the acting. I know that you somebody rung you, Stan.
Gonna ring you back.
Turn that off.
That time that Iggy decided to unblock sinking tea room.
Oh yeah, I got covered in table tennis players' urine.
It's piss.
It's piss.
Didn't Gary's dad once tell them that the game was called off because of migrating crabs?
Hey, are you still in bands, Shez? Is that still going or not?
Unfortunately, yes.
That's what they call now.
Still complete control.
All right,
I
good.
think I need to realise that they're completely crap.
Know how I feel tonight.
No, this
My
feeling
stress depression.
ain't right.
I predict a diet.
What did the doctor say to you, Stan? Stop eating fatty
So
food.
you don't
Stop
get your
eating
size
food
by
fatty.
eating fresh air. What are his exact words?
Anyway, so what the topics we're going to talk about?
Sex. They were all saying, Matt, you're looking very USA.
Say what you see. Say what you see. See what you say.
I can't see you, Shez. I don't. Hang on. It's probably a good thing.
It's because it's so dark. There's no lights on.
I've got my Superman jumper on.
I bet you can sit at moon with them specs on, can't you?
Yeah, I can see your beard. You bold-headed twat. Anyway.
Shez, I've made a picture of you. Fucking brick top.
Do you know what nemesis means?
No, what wanker means. Well, it's like fucking bass player out of Creedence Clearwater Revival, doesn't it?
Oh, my God.
No, they were a good band.
Order! Send more house to save the house!
Hello, welcome to the Housecast. This is the Christmas special. We haven't recorded for a while, so it's been a shock to the system to see everybody back. Thanks, Dan. We have multiple guests on tonight, all-star cast, and we'll go through who's here now. And we'll start on the top of my screen with Chris Blezard. How are you, Blez?
Very well, Joseph.
Excellent. Have you been busy?
Well, finished school, so we're off for the Christmas holiday. So just enjoying a bit of relax this last day.
Splendid. How is all your decorating gone for your Christmas day?
Well, it's fantastic, as you can see in the log cabin.
Yeah, Blez in a log cabin. Love to see you, Blez. I'll speak to you in a minute. The next one is Stan Heaton. Hello, Stan. How are you?
Good evening.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too as well.
What have you been up to?
Not a lot really. A couple of holidays, a golfing holiday, and then a normal holiday abroad.
What have you been up to? Not a lot. 2 holidays.
But bearing in mind, Joe, I'd only had 2 days off since March. They were fully deserved. I'm pleased to say that Blez has finished school at last. Christ, he's in his 50s. Obviously, not much to be done on the ground when it's under frost and snow. Bonfire was a huge success. You know about the planning application. Tremendously excited by the signing of the professional.
Yeah.
And touch wood, everything in the garden as rosy as it can be in December.
Splendid. Excellent. The next one is Nicky Hope. Now, I say this every time, Nick, when you're on these podcasts, but I don't see you nearly enough. But how are you?
I'm very well, Joe, thank you. And I don't see you enough either. It's with living in Yorkshire that causes the problem. Keeping well. Golf's taking a hit, obviously, with the poor weather. I've also had 2 holidays very well. I say 2 holidays. I've had 1 holiday and one with my brother, another holiday, which consisted of 12-hour days painting. followed by like 3/4 an hour for a pint, and then back painting, and he called on holiday.
Excellent.
Can I ask Nick, did he pull his weight?
Did Jez pull his weight?
Yeah, with the painting.
Oh yes, oh yeah. It was a joint mission. I was chained to the bed, but it had about a 12-foot chain, so I could get around the room and paint all the walls. So obviously I couldn't get out because we have had a bit of history when we painted Spain House. I did have a bit of a habit of going missing about 1 o'clock every day and coming back at about 4:30. So he won't going to let me do it this time. But yeah, all good, thanks, Joe.
Wonderful, excellent. The next one on my screen is Ian Sheridan. Uncle Ian, Shez, how are you?
Jumping out of my socks in my Superman dressing gown. Fabulous.
Excellent.
Nice to see everybody.
Yeah.
I'd like to see there's a picture of me on that wall, but there clearly isn't because I'm shittest out of all of us. But never mind, go on.
There is a picture of you actually up here at the top. But
is he covered in tomatoes?
No, no, it's not.
Enjoy tomatoes. Tomatoes.
Next on my screen is Matt Marquis. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Have you been busy?
No, not really. Just doing lots of walking, bit of running. Nothing exciting. See you running sometimes as well. Just see a blur going past me over the tops towards Clydebridge now and then.
Well, I had a fall yesterday.
Oh dear.
I hurt my back on the ice.
Oh, no.
How was that?
How was that?
Was it slippy outside by any chance?
Yeah, very.
Is that because it snowed?
Yeah, but it was more the ice.
And had it frozen?
That had been rained on.
You had it, right. So what's the moral of the story? Would you like to tell you?
Only
Don't go fucking running when it's snowing.
Only run when Blez is in, because I knocked on and he weren't there.
Look on the bright side, Joe, you didn't have far to fall.
Next on my screen is Gav Shields.
Hey.
Hello, Shieldsy. How are you?
All right.
Yeah,
sorry. Sorry.
It's all right. Who's playing?
Two people I've never heard of.
Oh, okay. Fair
so
enough.
It's Worlds in it at Christmas, so it's
yeah, of course.
It's only day 2. It's all no marks in it at the start.
How have you been?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Yeah, you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Burnley been all right?
Yeah. Superb, haven't they? It's been great to watch. They like watching Brazil.
And how have you? And is that what Stan thinks as well in your think tank that you have at half time? Or
to be honest with you, it's a nightmare, Joe. As I keep saying when we're on these shows, I still have to tell him what's going on at half time when we meet for a pint. Roger Bromley's at the end of his tether with him. I think he's close to making excuses as to why he's on a Saturday. What I mean, so, but you know, he's only been going on for about 40 years, as Stan. So he's still trying to catch up. He's still trying to get.
I can't take it away from him, Joe. Shieldsy has a football brain.
I know.
We all know what sort of a brain a football has.
Next one is Joe Beneducci. How are you, dude?
All right, Joe. Good, thank you.
Ankle?
How was your ankle? Paddy wanted me to ask you how your ankle.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine.
How did you do your ankle, Joe?
I was sat on settee, right, and I had my leg tucked under me, and I was sat on it, and I didn't know, but like during it had gone, my leg had gone to sleep, and I stood up and just completely collapsed on living room floor.
Is that
But
true?
Yeah, it's fine now. You what? It's true story.
Is that true?
100% true story.
So you must know from your younger days when you used to sit on your hand what would happen.
And then paint my nails.
So wait on the ankle there, though.
Anyway, it's fine. Thanks, Joe. Fine.
Fantastic. Me and Dooch have created a fantastic pickleball team. We're a force to be reckoned with. All conquering force to be reckoned with.
Who've you conquered?
Ben and Paddy.
Oh, yeah. What's pickleball?
It's like a cross between badminton, squash, and tennis.
Short tennis.
Played with paddles.
Oh, so it's called paddle?
Pickleball.
Pickle.
What, is that different to paddle tennis?
Yeah. I think paddle tennis is played like inside a cage.
Do you play with pickle?
Yeah.
Oh,
Surely it's a break.
I've never.
Joe Pickle.
Presumably, it's a very small ball, Joe. Is that why it's called pickleball?
I don't know.
Do you use a
don't know-
cocktail stick?
You don't know how big the ball is?
Well,
No,
it's just a
I think
normal
you use the
standard
bat,
size
don't you?
ball.
A tennis ball?
Same size
Or
as tennis
a
ball, but it's like a
basketball.
plastic.
Yeah. With holes in it.
Thank you for that.
No problem. But
Oh,
yeah.
you did ask.
Yeah.
Dear me.
I've never heard of it. That's very interesting.
Thanks, Nicky.
Well, it could have been.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you about it when I see you this week.
Thank you.
No
Joe,
problem.
we'll have a game. Does it require deft and athletic movement?
Yes, that's why me and Dooch are so good.
We'll cancel that then.
It might be like that time we played tennis in Spain, Stan. me and Jez against you and Tony. That was quite interesting.
No.
How did that go, Nick? How did it go? That?
Yeah, go on, tell us about that. Tell
us about that one, Nick.
It was you and Jez and Tony against me.
No, me and Jez playing doubles against you and Tony. You've been mouthing off all day before and night before how you're going to beat us and what your tactics were. And we were over in about 15 minutes. I think the final comment was from Tony, "Will you two bastards stop hitting it to him?"
I've only ever played it twice in my life.
And because to say it was useless was an understatement. It was 6-love in 23 minutes it took us to beat him. We were useless.
I've no
So
problem
we were
I've
trying
no
his knackers off, running around court. We just kept hitting it wherever Stan were.
I've no problem getting it over the net. I just couldn't get the ball.
And then finally, we have Jez Hope. How are you, Jez?
Hey, Joe. You all right?
Yes, it's wonderful to see you. I haven't seen you for ages.
No, we have a little catch up now and again, don't we? And we do the Lowerhouse draws, which, for the people who are listening, if this comes out before the players' drink next week, we're going to draw the Christmas draw live, £100 live. So if anyone's listening and wants to join before December 30th, then give us a shout. But yeah, all going well. I just listening to Nicky there about we grafted. We properly put some graft in, but we had a good crack. World Cup just happened to be on, so we could nip out and watch the odd game, and then come back and finish off the painting. But yeah, nothing else really. Dragged you a little bit of that work I'm doing with the winter sports, and but I'm finding more grief from the other job I'm doing part time at Lancashire League than I am. But that's another story.
It's true.
Is it hard work just because all the club reps are inherently knobheads? Including ours?
No. I know. I mean, and I'm sure Stan will help me. And I don't want to say anything on here that is out of order. The club's reps do a fantastic job. They turn up for one meeting. No, listen, Joe, hang on, stop rolling your eyes. You know, reps are fantastic. The biggest problem I've got is when someone does something wrong in a game, that they don't just admit it and deal with it on the day. That's the biggest problem. Just do it, deal with it, and move on. The amount of excuses and lies and rubbish that is spoken is unbelievable. And I've said this in the meeting, so I'm not talking out school.
Yes, just a quick question. Do you think that other club reps listen to their clubs, or do they just do what certain reps do and just do what they want?
Stan's been going a lot longer than me. I think a lot of them who talk to the committees and the clubs come along and contribute lots and lots to it. And Dan is one of those that does contribute a lot.
I think I spotted what you were getting at there, Gav. So it has been noted. A lot of clubs aren't run like ours. They're run
like dictatorship.
Benevolent dictatorship. No, on a serious note, and I know what you mean, Nicky, but I've changed. We all have areas of we all have areas of responsibility, and you're given a free hand to deal with your area of responsibility. So if somebody asks you a question, you can answer it in the full knowledge that that's what will happen or has happened. The trouble with all the clubs is some of them have the biggest committees you've ever seen. So they can ask a rep a question or to vote on something impromptu, if you will, in a meeting, and they can't because they've got to go back to the committee. Even though we've all got emails and what have you, the committee meeting will maybe occur once a month, once a fortnight, so they have to wait for that committee meeting. So it's quite an antiquated, cumbersome system in some cases. And there are a lot of people like Vinnie Hansen, for instance, at Rochdale, who runs the club. So he can sit there and make decisions in the full knowledge that he's making the correct decision for his club. And Vinnie's done a fabulous job at Rochdale. But Jess is absolutely right about there is a complete lack of willingness to bite the bullet and say to somebody, you clown, you shouldn't have done that, too much ban. And a lot of the offences are far, far worse than too much bans. Far, far worse. And the clubs have to be prodded with an electric cattle prod to get them to dish out an adequate punishment.
When we were playing cricket,
fuck me, glad I asked.
I was just gonna ask then, and I think this is what I know he complained about my story earlier.
Stan, when we played cricket, when we played, me, Jez, Nicky, there were never any bother like this, as far as I knew. The worst I ever encountered or witnessed was Peter Swart shouting at Brian Holmes at East Lancs when you told him to shut up. I don't know where it's crept in, all this dissent and this falling out with umpires. I don't agree with it. I never will. I understand that umpires are there and they make mistakes and things like that, but without them put there, you wouldn't have a game. So I can remember certain people saying something to me in the Worsley Cup final at Lowerhouse, who should have known better, and they said that Stan Eaton's knocked at wicket, and I said to him, "You what?" They said, "Yeah, he's knocked at wicket. He's made it slow and low." And I said to this person, I said, "You've known Stan Eaton 40 years, and you're accusing him of doing this because your team's not doing well. But without people like yourself, Stan, and without the umpires, without the committee men, and without all the other people, we wouldn't have a game, we wouldn't have a club."
No, there's a nastiness crept into the game. There's no doubt about it.
I don't like that, Stan, at all.
Cricket probably reflects society, doesn't it? And frankly, banter is fabulous. Some criticism is fabulous, get him it, or put a bell in the ball, all that sort of business. Or that's the worst shot I've ever seen. But and we've been as guilty, when you stand there calling somebody a 4-letter word repeatedly, it's disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Not what the game's about.
And sometimes it's brought to light in a game, other times it isn't. And it's the inconsistencies as well that don't help.
It's not
Some
what the game's
about. Others don't. Some clubs deal with straight away, others don't. Some throw their hand in eventually, others have to be dragged kicking and screaming. But I'm sure, because this is the firmest hand we've had on the tiller, and Tony's a very able deputy, I'm sure that we will get there in the end, even if it's only in a slow drip.
It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You don't work cricket for that.
Unfortunately, Chess, it's life. It happens in all walks of life now. It's not just cricket, because nobody's got any patience for anything.
Nicky, I understand that.
And you could, talk golf, cricket, football, particularly kids' football, has been like that for 20 years.
Yes.
And getting worse. Work situations are like that. Now, if you say the wrong thing to anybody, they either sue you or want to smack you.
Yes.
So that person who wants to do that on a Tuesday morning, if he plays cricket, he's going to do it on a Saturday afternoon.
I understand.
I don't
have to like it though, Nick.
No, I agree with your frustration completely. It's ridiculous, but unfortunately, it's just the way it's going, isn't it?
Adam's here.
Hi, Adam.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Hi, good. I just thought I'd put an appropriate background on one of the best Therefore defensives I've ever seen.
That's you, Adam.
No.
It's a right-hander, so it definitely ain't Adam.
I know it is.
Looks like the crab.
Looks like he's just
It is. Blazer's right. It's the crab.
Has he got his eyes open?
Is that the? I don't know whether that is the 2011 day that we won the league.
No,
it is.
Or is it the year before?
I think it's the year before. Is it Adam? Is it 2011?
Yeah, I got it from that album. Yeah.
All right.
Who
Okay,
is
there
it?
you go.
Joe Beneduce playing a forward defensive, and if you've noticed, both feet are off the ground.
Could you not tell it was Joe as soon as you saw the lack of technique?
I've got a lot of trophies though, Stan. I've got a lot of trophies.
Andy's missed the ball. Joe, every trophy you've got, I've got one as well because I get them made.
Joe, who won league?
Say again, Chez.
Who did that one league?
Must have been us, probably.
You weren't it, Joe, weren't it?
Yeah, we did.
No, Joseph's, but captain when they won league.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you win league, Stan?
No, I didn't.
Anybody else?
I didn't. I finished runners up in cup final runners up. That was as good as it got, but we were happy.
But what I will say is to carry on sitting on the fence. Even though Stan didn't win the league, he laid the foundations to allow us to win it later on.
Joe, earlier you mentioned sub pros earlier. Has anybody on this call been a sub pro?
Oh yeah.
Has anybody sub pro and top scored, having not played for 5 years?
That'll be you, Nicky.
27, Nick, was it? 27?
No, I weren't. I think I go 41.
Oh, I do apologise.
Not Stone.
I do apologise.
He took a great catch at first slip as well, Nick.
Well, I was late to game. I didn't see you bat. And as I came on, I said, how did you get on, Nick? And you told me you'd scored runs, and I didn't believe you. I refused to bat.
Thanks.
Someone else had to confirm it. I thought it was Nick. Not just because you haven't played for a long time, obviously.
Did you have I mean, you obviously know how tough it was being a sub-pro. Did you have a favourite sub-pro when you played?
Can I throw one in, Nick? Robert Haynes, when he got that big ton against East Lancs, having played as pro for them, he's sub-pro for us.
Yeah. I don't think I played then, Sarah, but I think I was watching that because he kept smacking it down, flat batting it over fence at Thornhill Road, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. Lord Henderson never let us down.
No, he was good, wasn't he?
David Capel.
David Capel.
We know that story. The guy, Asif Mushtaba, when we have the weakest side we've ever had out, and he got a ton in 9 for, he was useful.
And we still lost.
No, we won, but the following day we were all right for 50.
I think he opened the batting with Swifty that day.
Quite possibly. What a contrast.
Yeah.
Whilst we're on that, I think I was speaking to Adam the other week about nicknames that we've had. When we were bored at field, we give daft nicknames. That was got to be one of the best ever of Swifties, weren't it, Luna?
Caravan.
Luna.
We're talking about him on Test match this week, not Swifty, by the way. Asif Mushtaba. They were talking about Mushtaba on Test match this week. They were saying one of the Pakistani players has got a striking resemblance to him or something. Did Johnny Russell get him out once in a Inter-Toto game? Mushtaba.
Yeah, Norden, were it?
Yeah.
Well, Jez got him out in the cup final against Haslingden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Caught Charlie Cotton. That'd be a hell of a trivia question, wouldn't it? Who was the wicketkeeper in the cup final?
Well, you can give an answer, but it won't anymore.
Charlie Cotton stuff.
Yeah, you're not answering now.
Well done here, Gav. Well done.
Did you keep in the first team, Nick?
Yeah, terribly. And that's where, I do. That's where Greasy can't and I don't do mine to be the same game because I was forced to do it on numerous occasions. I didn't want to because me and Alex Stewart had the same problem trying to keep wicket open the batting. So I was forced to do it under duress quite a few times. And we played at Rishton and Martin Van Rentels were bowling. Were it? No, sorry, Craig Light. I think. Yeah, with Craig Light, who weren't a good bowler, were it?
He had a pot shot for bowling a beamer, didn't he?
He bowls to beat us late really early on, and he charges out wicket to beat us late, misses it by about 4 foot, and I stood behind wickets, it just hit me, and he got back in, and he got about 160 beat us late. I bet it was 4th over when he did it.
So, where did Greasy Palms come from, Nick?
Bakel. That was another time they made me do it, Joe. And I dropped. Who were bowling? Somebody were bowling.
It weren't me.
You remember
it weren't me.
John
Kent.
Yeah. overly quick, but we played on a green hardish one at Bake-Up, and first 3 bowled, I didn't catch one of them. So one of them wags, Roy Rosendale or whoever, shouted for top of his voice from Pendray, "Hey, who's your keeper? Greasy Pants?"
Roy Rosendale or Clan of India.
Blaise, I think you know my favourite nickname for one of the old players.
Which one? Go on, I can't. Off the top of my head, it's gone, Joe.
Often shouting at you in Nelson.
Oh, dear. Tits.
Yeah.
Blaise!
Blaise, it's me!
I'm
Dave from Thirds!
Can I throw Bungalow Brian Holmes in as a good nickname?
Yeah.
Or
He had
Paul.
some. Yeah,
Bungalow
he had
Brian
quite a
Holmes.
few, didn't he? Yeah.
Plenty below, but not much upstairs.
Yeah.
I like Proc's effort about Prabhakar. Calling him Kylie Minogue.
He didn't like that, did he? I think Prabhakar just saw that as a further example of what a bunch of idiots we were. He was probably the joint best all-rounder in the world at the time.
Yeah.
Playing with what he thought were clowns.
I'm the only person he spoke to, Jez, weren't he?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, young Joe Martin, we might need to do an episode on that season, really, because he was outstanding. Prabhakar, yeah. What a player. But he just, from the day one, but from that first game, it just went downhill. And he didn't want to be with us. We tried hard up to about June, but then the one occasion, I don't know if you remember it, Stan and Blaise, when Harry Brooks were quite prominent in trying to get the cricket going and trying to get it more professional. And we all had to go training and practice every Tuesday and Thursday, wherever possible, rain or shine, and we'd go for a run. And we'd turn up and it'd be drizzling a little bit. And we would practice and do as much as we could fielding. And Prabhakar used to have to go under covers. Keep drying, won't come out. When
he made him go, didn't he? Harry made him go under no circumstances.
Then he'd come to practices. Yeah. He'd hide under covers to keep dry.
Do you remember the other international umpire was playing that year as well, weren't he? Tucker.
Tucker, yeah.
He didn't like him, did he, either, Mano?
No. Tucker the fucker.
Yeah.
In fact, it'd be interesting, really. Maybe we could get our statistician in Joe and Adam to have a look at, because Prabhakar got done for match fixing, didn't he? Out in the open, he got prosecuted for it.
Did he?
Didn't know that.
I didn't think he did many Lowerhouse games, though, Jez.
Apart from that one when Alec Ormerod came in the dressing room and said, "Jez, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about this ball? What are you going to do about this?" And it ended up in Daily Mail, that. Scratching the ball.
Oh dear.
1999, he got done for match fixing.
Did he? Wow.
And when did he pro for us?
91.
91.
He was banned for playing cricket for India for life.
He just did one season, did he?
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I think he just won great performance. He'd 6 for and 100 at Todd.
That's right, yeah.
If I remember rightly, Dwight York's brother Clint was the Tobbery professional, and we'd something like 7 men on the. He was a left-hander, and he was prolific run scorer, and with something like 7 men on the offside and 2 men on the leg side, and he pulled along up like a rocket at Proc at mid-on, and it stuck.
Yeah.
Stan and Shez, we've had you two went on tour quite a lot. I'm keen. We've discussed the Glasgow trip before, but I'm interested in lots of other trips that you went on. If you have any stories that you'd like to tell us.
Well,
you went to Dublin
because
Northern
Ian was
Ireland.
the character that he was. There was only one Muggins prepared to room with him, and that fell on me. And this wasn't a cricket trip, actually. This was a golf trip, and we stayed at Llandudno. Shez says, I like to sleep with the window open. I said, it's February. He said, no. He said, honestly, he said, I like to sleep with the window open. Oh, all right then. So I'm shivering like mad in my single bed. Shez is snoring like mad in it. And it just gets light, and I wake up and I can hear this rummaging around sound in the room. And it's just, as I say, it's just, so I look up and there's a seagull coming through the open window, and it's eating the complimentary biscuits on the dressing table. So I woke Shez up and said, you invited it in, you get rid of it. And he was shared, so I finished up having to shoo it out at window. Won't get out of bed to she said, I'm not going near it, it could have rabies. But
a full big seagull.
It was just a typical daft Shez incident.
I'm going to go on to Shez has gone, so I'm going to go on to second team cricket, because we don't really ever discuss this in on the podcast. We should discuss it more. But obviously, we've all played quite a bit of second team cricket here. So I was just looking, and the majority of time I played in the twos with Matt Marquis and Gav. So I was wondering, they were fantastic teachers in that stage. So I was just wondering, they were.
Teachers?
Well, you know what I mean. They were
life coaches,
mentors, or
mentors,
life coaches.
They taught me a lot about the world and the game.
Examples of how not to do it, possibly.
Yeah. So I don't know if.
Yeah.
But Matt Marcus, you and Gav played together a lot. What are your kind of memories around that period?
Oh, we shares a lot, probably. I don't know. We played some good sides then. But then there were other people coming into the sides, weren't there? Like, obviously, Stan played a couple of times. We had some good four-legs, didn't we, Stan?
We did indeed, but they were character building, Matt. Friendship building.
No, I was playing with people like Frank and stuff like that. There were some, you mentioned before, there were some real characters that came through the second. People who didn't go on to play first team cricket, but some proper characters, like a nucleus of a side. No, some real characters coming through. Like, you had the nucleus of your second team, didn't you? And then, obviously, lads that were coming in that were going to go on to far bigger and better things. But then you had these characters coming through the side, people like Slippers and Tits and Chumpers and people like that. So there's plenty of stories to tell around them. I'm sure Gav can enlighten us with some stories about them, can't you, Gav?
Probably not on here.
Well, if you took your eyes off the darts for a bit, you might be able to focus.
He were crackers, weren't he, Dave Krapinski?
He was a good player.
Yeah, I know he was a good player, but he were crackers.
Yeah. Charlie, it probably went down when Charlie nearly killed him as well when Pete Gaynor went captain.
Yeah.
That never helped, did it?
He's been down a lot especially last year and year before. Does his lad play junior team, Stan?
Who's that?
He was helping with the All Stars this year.
Helps with the All Stars. His young lad Seth's an All Star. He's only about 5.
Had a couple of good chats with Dave. Cracking lad, and
I'm hopeful we'll get David involved in the very near future.
Yeah, good player, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, play first team.
When would he have finished playing? We know, Adam. What year did he finish?
About before 2004, I think.
Who had the mahogany bat?
Yeah, Ted made it for Tits.
Oh, right.
Ted, another good player, but I've never seen anybody play as pissed.
He used it next, didn't he? When he, yeah.
Can you remember when we were trying to find places to practice in the days where we weren't allowed to play on the square, really, because of there weren't that many pitches that we could use. And your dad sort of had us all over ground, didn't he? He had us sort of like over at far side towards the park, and then tried to get us back where we used to practice in front of the pavilion. But then he tried, because he said the hardest place was just in front of Groundsman's Hut, because that's where the roller came out, and that were always flat and quite hard. So we pitched the net outside there, and everybody was just looking at each other. I am not going to bat first on there. There is no way I'm going to bat on there. Anybody fancy a bat? Dave, I'll do it. First one hit him right under his left tit, right in his heart, and he went down like a sack of spuds. Next one hit him in box. And third one rolled on floor and bowled him. So I think just pitched it and went somewhere else.
Would you ever play with him, Joe? No?
No, I don't know. A lot of these people, Dave Askew or Jumpers, I've got no idea who.
You'd have got on well with Slippers, Joe. You'd have got on well.
Yeah,
with him. Very similar.
That would have been a meeting of minds, wouldn't it? That.
Yeah. Yes.
Very small.
He could play, couldn't he?
Yeah,
prolific wicket taker.
He used to get us all in that second team. I mean, we were all kids and we were struggling for cars and lists for away games. And there were one game, I can't remember where we were going. And he went, right, come on, just chuck all your bags in back at work's van. I went, yeah, all right. So we did all that and we still couldn't get everyone there. So a couple of us, probably 2 or 3 of us, had to get it back of his works van. And all the way to where we were going, it might have been Tottenham or something like that. Every so often, he kept slamming brakes on and stuff like that. But by the time we got to away game, honestly, it was unbelievable. We're covered in bags, bruises, all sorts. But I was going to have bust noses and everything. He thought it was hilarious and went wrong way around bags and all sorts.
Do you remember other works, get the band game, when we went to Longridge, Gav, with Matt Orb? Been under 17s, and we drive all the way to Longridge, the whole team in the back of a van. Yeah. We get to Longridge, and Gav's getting ready to open batting. He realises he's forgotten his kicks. So, and Gav back then were a lot slimmer at 17-year-olds, so we had to wear a pair of Matt Orb's pants to bat in. Billowing as he's trying to. He couldn't tell if he had anything underneath. We could have worn them over his pads.
Couldn't tell he had pads on. Or a thigh pad out.
Terry used to live in Junction, didn't he? His family had the Junction. That's why he came to play down at Lowerhouse.
And who was, what was he called? Used to swing it miles.
Used to swing it miles back into right-hander. Unbelievable.
Did Matt Stanley not find him a couple of years ago, or last year or so? And he's
found him on Twitter. Yeah. He got in touch with him.
Good bat as well. Good Terry. Good bat at second team as well. Used to bat it top 3 or 4.
He come back. He come ball that time when we played at Bay Cup, Gav. Do you remember? And we were batting first, and he got told, but it was baking hot. And he got told, you need to put some sun cream on. And by the second half, he couldn't move.
It's the same shame Shez in here for this, because I think Shez were captain. And I don't remember the same game, but he used to have them, like, you know, them horrible beaded seat covers that you have in cars.
Yeah.
He had them in his car. And Tony Woodworth put a meat pie under the seat cover and didn't tell him. I know you found that out. Allegedly. Tony wasted a pie. He put and Terry sat on it, and it obviously went everywhere. And I got the blame for it, and it obviously nothing to do with me. Tony and Shez bullied me into taking blame for it.
Shez and Tony used to own him because they did him at a ground somewhere as well, didn't they? When they were going to a shop, and when you used to walk off ground, weren't to go to a tuck shop, and he said, "We just get us something." And they went, "Oh, what do you want?" He said, "Just a meat pie and a bag of crisps." Well, if they hadn't got that, well, just get us out. We came back with Turkish delight and some coronation milk.
But like, as a young lad being in that dressing room was brilliant. It was just superb. You just sit there and think, what the hell's going on here? It was brilliant. Proper laugh.
So who would your captains have been then, Gav?
Right at the outset, it were Rusty and Bron and Iggy used to take it in turns. Then Shez.
Gearbottom not before Shez.
Gloria Gearbottom, weren't he? He were before that were eventful that year, weren't it? When he had to control all the when you and Charlie were playing dressing room cricket, and Charlie were batting with mallet, and he hit that tennis ball right through where Peter Gaynor in the middle of what can only be described as a circus for trying to read Financial Times. Charlie whacks tennis ball right through and hits him right in the face. You can imagine, can't you? Oh, he went absolutely berserk.
He had no control over us, unfortunately, for Peter.
And what were it like Iggy captaining you?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Everyone's threatened to fuck us all with a hot chip.
Yeah, yeah. Just as we were going out, we didn't have any team talk whatsoever, and when Dick and Mott used to do tea rooms, funny and barges and stuff like that, and we didn't have any team talk whatsoever. And just as we were going out to bat, it was like still demolishing all these chips. And he went, all I said, lads, is if we feel like them, I'll fuck you with a hot chip. Red chip everywhere, and we all went on to the field laughing his heads off.
We were probably about like 15 as well.
Yeah, Churchilly and that.
Yeah. And Stan and Nicky, I think, and Jez perhaps as well. You'd have obviously been in the second team a lot earlier than that. Sorry to highlight that, but what was it like playing in the second team when you guys first started? Les, you're in the middle.
I think
started in the second.
It's a different era, Joe. I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think let's stand. Yeah, let's stand.
I was a tally boy, and then I became a scorer. Or I'd be playing cricket in the park, and Gordon Jones's head would appear over the park wall and say, "Go and get your cricket gear. You're playing for twos." And I remember, I think I was 10 or 11, and just played because they were short. I remember started playing my first ever game at Rottenstall with Rod Taylor, who was a first team cricketer, very kindly bowling at me. It's quite, you've talked about fun times there, but I can tell you when you played for Lowerhouse second 11 at the turn of the 60s and 70s, it was horrific. Ian Ridley was the captain, he was a lovely guy. Peter Wade played, he was a lovely guy. But you had others who were just dreadful, bullies. And as you know, I'm no softy, but they went out of their way to humiliate you. I'll never forget one game at Lowerhouse. They were throwing the ball over my head, to my left, to my right. I had to run forward for it and couldn't get it. And they were smirking. 2 slips gully, me at mid-off, and they were smirking. And so Alan Southers, God rest his soul, was fielding down at third man in front of the power station, walks up as the ball is walking back to it and says to the 3 in the slips, "The next time you try and make that lad look a chump," he said, "I'll kick your fucking heads in." And that was sufficient for him to stop it. So I don't have happy memories of being a tiny kid in the second team. And it got better. Peter Maudsley was a lovely guy. He's a sharp edge of Peter, but overall he was a lovely guy. And it was only, when I got to sort of 13, 14, 15 that I sort of enjoyed playing in the twos. But with some bad days, I remember being 16 all out at home to Haslingden on a pitch cut off the square because the square was too wet. But over the years, the second team have had some really, really good players. I mean, we've talked about this before. Matt Marquis, probably the unluckiest player in the Lancashire League history. He just happened to be a very good bowler at the time when we had a lot of very good bowlers, and he'd have been in everybody else's first team. When he came in the first team, he never let us down. And what a player to have in your team as well, heart of a lion. And there were others who maybe under today's more serious conditions, shall we say, and rightly so, maybe they'd have been better players for it. But back in the day, it was a lot more jocular and perhaps less intense until you actually played in the first team. The second team, and there wasn't a third team, but the second team didn't train anywhere near as hard as the first team did, and the first team didn't train anywhere near as hard as the first, seconds, thirds, and fourths do now, because nobody knew any different. But mostly happy days, but there were times when we were poor. I bumped into a lad called Peter Scott on the turf, and Peter played in the years when I first started, and he was a fabulous guy, and he finished up having I think it was his wife's birthday at the cricket club last summer. Great to see him. Great to see him. I have a lot of happy memories of the nice ones in that team. John Soodall, people like that.
How was your second team? experience.
I remember more third team than second team, if I'm honest. But then I stopped playing at about 19 or 20 now. But I do remember vividly playing, and not particularly the second team's times I did play. I found it really intimidating. As in like you could get battered any minute. So it weren't really an environment to go and enhance your skills. I do remember vividly opening the batting with Michael Atherton on a Tuesday, and then on the Saturday opening the batting with Rule Reeve and getting hit on head, seriously, from a ball on a length, no helmets out, and it really, really knocked me back because I was then frightened of ball for 2 years. And this bloke weren't bowling at any pace, but I'm only a dot, and I won't be batting with a bloke that's 107 at Chapman, and ball come off a length and hit me square between eyes, and it really knocked me for six. Well, it didn't knock me out, but confident-wise, it knocked me for six. So, and we played on wickets like that every week. So, whilst there was Arthur, Rule,
Herbert Marsden.
Yeah, bless him. It weren't much for so obviously we got a game because it was the first time Lewis had a third 11. But it didn't really do much for your skills because we were playing at Chapman, Gisborne, Sabden, and the likes. So I don't have a lot of memories about second team, but I do third team because it knocked me for six for 2 years.
Arthur, Herbert, and Rule began the third team.
That's
they
right.
had a third team back in the 50s, but they resurrected it in that Northeast. I think it was the Northeast Lancs League against the teams that Nicky and Briarfield, St Joseph's, and occasionally I'd have been about 17 or 18, something like that. They'd be short and I'd help them out. And I remember opening the batting at Lowerhouse with Herbert Marsden, and Herbert was deaf. And typical sunny day, a few on, bars on, Mr. Whippy's on, flogging chalk ices and what have you. And Herbert wanted to take first knock. So I'm at the runner's end and I can see that the sight screen's not in the right place. So I shout down to Herbert, sight screen. Herbert, sight screen. He goes, yeah, I screamed.
Then he took a umpiring, didn't he? And you somebody wants edge one through second slip and he gave it to wide.
and people were run out right, left, and centre. I said, best thing to do. I said, he's tie a string to his belt and tug it when he wants to sing. And I remember Tony Bromley being at the runner's end and being given out obstruction of the field when the bowler couldn't get to the ball for a caught and bowled. And of course, he's not the person that should be given out. It should be the batsman that's given out. So there were some crazy things happened.
Blaise, can you remember? This is off on a bit of a tangent. Remember when Johnny was out handle ball?
Yeah.
In that game.
Well, I don't know rules. It's not my fault. I don't know rules.
Oh, so he did handle the ball.
Oh yeah. Picked it up.
Picked it up
and threw it away. Threw it backwards towards first slip.
What do you mean I'm out? What do you mean? I don't know rules. That's not
first
fair.
Team game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First team game.
Oh yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was only 2 or 3 years ago, weren't it, Ples?
Well, it weren't. It was well into his first team career. It weren't his first games.
It was funny playing with Johnny Whitehead. I mean, we've all probably played with some funny people, but Johnny was 100% all the time. Bonkers.
Can you remember playing in the seconds, Jez, with that sort of era with Pete Mosley? Do you have other captains other than Peter in the seconds?
No, I think Peter did the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
But just what Nicky's saying there, those three, Herbert, Arthur and Rule, were a breath of fresh air to that club at the time. We were very young. I was a bit older than, obviously, I've always been older than Nicky. But at the time, I was probably 15, so could have been pushing second team. And I remember Bomber always used to say, look, it's the best thing since sliced bread, this. You get it quality games. It was time cricket. And I were a batter then. I hadn't discovered myself as a bowler. And literally, I don't know if you remember it, my dad used to say, just don't get out. Yeah. So I would face 120 balls for 10 and think it were great. And the opposition are going mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you learnt a lot from it. And then, you know, the standard was adequate for us. The pitch facilities were very, very poor. But I think I hit it where our first team was getting stronger and stronger. So the people Stan's mentioning as the bullies, and that's what they really were, you know, we don't need to mention names. They were disappearing from the scene, but players from who were first team stroke second team, there's, you know, like some Brian Holmes, Tom Sullivan, all different ages, John Ormerod, were coming and being in and around the second team here. So I was in and out of the second team then, even up to being, you know, like 16, 17, I was in and out the seconds and playing in the thirds. And it was only really when Lofty took over that I played regularly in seconds and started pushing the first team. So, yeah, Pete Maudsley were there. I had never any problem with Pete at all. He were great. You know, he'd bat and bowl me, and we had quite a strong side. Remember that game, Nick, at, I think, Sabden, when you'd been hit on head the year before? And you know, because you were a little dot when he could bat for England, really proper, technically right, but got hit and struggled a bit. And then year after we're fielding, and someone's whacked it to square leg. Nicky's looking up, thinking he's going to go to deep square leg, a telegraph wire, and comes down and hits him on top of the head. And he was fielding.
You have to go right on top of him, looking where it's ball, or it's telegraph wire. Aren't we running for it? I stood in a cow pat.
Yeah, in a big cow pat. But it's a pity Shez has chickened out and disappeared, because we played a lot there and it was competitive.
Just on a serious note, you're absolutely right, Jess. You promising young cricketers playing against adults, nothing beats it. And it's no coincidence that our finest crop of youngsters to date, Walker, Bailey, Martin, Whitehead, I'm probably missing somebody, all played Belvedere and Grammar School Old Boys cricket, 11, 12, 13 years old before they got into our third team. And it was on that basis that we thought it was absolutely vital that we got a fourth team up, so that we could expose 13, 14, 15-year-olds who were good enough, of course, and safe enough, expose them to adult cricket playing against other third 11s. And it reaps dividends. I'm convinced that the reason why York Robinson, Cotton, and others bubbling under them are going to be good cricketers, or are good cricketers, because they're exposed to adult cricket at an earlier age and they're ready for it. All right, they might not beat the field. They might have a ball whiz past them in the field, and they might get slogged for six by somebody that swings from his rear end. But character building and vital, absolutely vital.
I agree with that, Stan, because I think me and Gav had this conversation before about when, especially like people like Matt Walker and that came into the seconds. What you were finding is they were quite. I know he's quite a confident character anyway. Just taking him as an example, but what you found is they knew about cricket. They weren't coming in completely cold, and if they were balling, they knew what kind of fields they wanted and stuff like that. And just the way they spoke about stuff. They were coming in ready to play, and it were impressive to see him coming in like that. I know, like I say, me and Gav have spoken about it before, but you could see which of them players were probably going to go on and do a little bit.
You're absolutely right, Matt, and there's more to it as well, I think, because when I started playing, and probably Jez and Nicky, it was about surviving. Now, because these lads have all played junior cricket, and because our junior sides have been good, and win a lot more than they lose, they're used to winning. Winning becomes habit forming, as does defeat. So they're used to winning, they're confident, they're knowledgeable, as you say, and they're up and running. And that group that I've mentioned, Walker, Whitey, Billy, Martin, etc. And I stand to be corrected on this, but I think I'm absolutely right. I might get one wrong. All got 50s on their third team debut. And, you know, on the one hand, you think, well, have we held them back a bit too much? But we're talking about 14-year-olds here. All got 50s on their third team debut. And I'd much rather that than they went in the third team or fourth team as we have now. They went in too soon, got a series of ducks and had the confidence shattered.
Yeah, exactly.
As when you came in, I've got this recollection because you were always, you know, I'm not blowing smoke up your backside. You know, you were a quality player, Lancashire Bucks, you know, potentially going to make it at Lancs. But you had you were also brainy that you would be at sixth form and you were going to uni. So did you play much? You didn't play much with the Rural Reeve era, did you?
No, I didn't play at all with those. Well, I played in the thirds when it was the Lancashire League thirds when Duncan Hall was captain. So I never played in that North East Lancashire League. When I first played for the thirds, it was the Lancashire League thirds. Not every Lancashire League side had a thirds, I don't think initially. But I played in the thirds. And I probably played maybe 2 seasons of thirds cricket as a 13-year-old and then a 14-year-old. And then got into the seconds and didn't do very much in the seconds at all, really. I wouldn't say, you know, we had the stat this year. It's only my second team 50 that I got this year.
Yeah.
Because I only had one other.
I thought so, yeah. Yeah. And it was because, you know, you were very talented and very committed for it. You're also a girly swat, and that's why you push you through it. But
I think what we failed to recognise, and probably Gav and Matt were probably the last crop of youngsters through that didn't really have the coaching that, you know, Joe, Paddy, Matt Walker, what they were exposed to because of Stan's position. You know, there wasn't, you know, we coached ourselves or our, you know, like Bomber coach you two and my dad coached me. You know, there was no structure really to training, especially. You know, there was no massive structure to the under-13s and under-15s in terms of exposure to correct technique and stuff. You were just left to your own devices to a certain extent. And, you know, it took you a while to get used to, you know, I can remember going into the second team and facing John Ashworth at Ramsbottom and Robbie Walsh at Rishton and thinking they were, you know, they were express pace because you'd not seen anything other than schoolboy cricket. So it was a big shock to us at that stage. Whereas I think youngsters these days had a little bit more exposure to that a little bit early and a little bit more confidence coming into the situation to do that. It's then up to them to sort of find their own path, their own ticker, really, more than anything else, because they've got all the knowledge and they've got all the coaching behind them. It's then have they got the, you know, the courage or the sort of dedication to go a little bit further.
And that was one of the things, actually. Sorry, Jez.
And just finally on this, Joe, that's where we have the likes of Matt Stanley, Matt Marquis, Joe, Gav, all these people. They're in between. Stan had this, really, like almost going back to, you know, the early 1900s. Me, Blaise and Nicky and others of that era had that middle ground when it was all changing. And then you got these rugrats coming along who were, you know, they were getting the proper facilities, but they were also probably getting the banter from us and were just a little bit of loose cannons at the time.
Just a little quick tell about Nicky getting hit. We gave him the nickname, and you've talked about nicknames to us, Tiger.
You did.
Because Jeff brought him to a pre-season, probably third team style match. And Nicky, I'm going to guess you were something like 8.
Yeah, probably.
And you dived to stop a ball, and it very courageous, and it bounced in front of you. You smack it face. Didn't cry. Dick Price just got up and he dived like a bloody tiger, bounces. So little tough kid as well. So we called him Tiger for a while.
That might be why I can't remember anything anymore. We all banged on me.
It's one of my favourite pictures of you, Nicky, where you've had your face painted as a tiger.
That was a good day. That was a very good day. Yeah, I remember that well, Joe. Good, innit? Yeah. And it was done in gloss paint as well. I couldn't get it off.
I tried Swarfiga and everything.
Yeah. It's a 30-foot cock and ball.
I could do a photo album with funny pictures I've got of Nicky. I might do that one day.
Yeah.
How many of them have a blue wicket in them?
A few.
A
few.
High percentage.
So if you think it's okay climbing up a wall to look over a toilet cubicle, you carry on. You carry on.
Do you remember, Jez, when we played a second team game at Ramsbottom, and they prepared the square the wrong way. They prepared a pitch going the wrong way around, and it were thundering and lightning.
Named it football pitch.
Yeah. And you just bought that back from the flea market.
I remember.
Yeah.
Bought it back from the flea market, and then we're using it. But then we went off for bad light, lightning, and thunder, and we were in the dressing room, and you were sort of lovingly sort of wire wooling your bat, trying to get all the marks off it. And then Peter Baldwin's hair suddenly started sort of like, he had really wiry hair, didn't he?
Standing
on
it.
Going up like that, sort of with the amount of static in the air from the thunder and lightning. And you just had the wire wool above your head like
that. Yeah. Well, you weren't lucky.
Dooch, Jess, why did you buy a bat from a flea market?
Because he was tight. Bomber brought him up.
Oh, right, okay.
Because it was top quality, but I got my first 50 with that in the first game.
Do you remember what kind of bat was it?
Wally Hammond.
Wally Hammond.
Special.
It was called
called
Northern Counties, Joe. Northern Counties.
It wasn't what it were. It wasn't. Stan might remember. It wasn't Senior Citizen because they were cigarettes, I think. But it was something like that. It was some. I still got it in the garage.
There was a bat called a Senior Bat. It was a brand name.
It could have been that. There were no stickers on it.
Oh no, they were
stickers on it. They were really soft.
They were like black painted engraved in with there were no stickers.
That's right. Yeah, burnt in.
They were almost chiseled in, weren't they? The names.
Yeah,
we're not senior counties or something like that.
I think it was
county.
Maybe county
senior counties.
County senior.
And it was really soft wood, so I got all this wire wool from work, and because sandpaper were too rough, and it was really light, and it was a proper stroke maker's bat. And I would always lovingly loads of linseed oil on it, and this lot were always taking the piss out of me, but. It lasted 2 or 3 years, and it cracked in one game. I tried to screw it back together, but it didn't work.
Did you pull that stunt, Jez, where you only wire wool or sandpaper off the outside edges?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
So you're left with a red square in the middle, as though you middle everything. Yeah.
Has anybody here ever had a bat bought for them by sort of like maybe a spectator or a member or something like that?
No.
You used to get them at the grammar school. If you got a 50, you got a bat. If you got 100, you got a bat.
He didn't buy. The tale he's referring to, Stan, is Bob Sandiford gave me a cricket bat. He didn't buy it for me. He pulled it out of his loft. I think he must have played a bit of cricket, Bob Sandiford. Can anybody confirm or deny that?
Yeah, did.
I thought,
but he obviously loved you, Joe, didn't he?
He bought it off eBay for you, Joe. Is that a made-up story?
It is a made-up story. He pulled it out of his loft. It were good, and it were a Millichamp bat. It were good, but it weighed about a stone. So your dad had a few goes at taking some mud off it, so I could use it, but I could never use it. But yeah, I got gifted a bat by a spectator.
Back in the day, Joe, you used to get all your bats from Cockers, didn't you? Before you stopped buying them.
I haven't bought a men's cricket bat in my life ever. The last cricket bat I bought from a shop.
Cockers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it weren't a men's one. The last cricket bat I bought from a shop was a Harrow.
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 That's all.
All the men's cricket bats I've used have just been, I don't know.
Begged, borrowed, or stolen.
Yeah, begged, borrowed, or stolen. Yeah.
My first bat was a John Player polyarmor, and it was like a white painted bat.
I remember them. Duncan Fernley did them, didn't they? White.
Fantastic. And then Polydrive came out, which was like a plastic sheeting over it. But yeah, not John Player, Stuart Surridge, Polydrive bat. Fabulous.
I think, Stan, you go on from, because that was a bit of a sad tale you told there about, the bullying that went on. It was clearly wrong. It's clearly, very close to maybe being investigated if it was only 5 or 10 years ago. But then I think we moved on from that, and I don't know why or who or what happened, but we moved on to that type of daft banter where we're always in dressing room, record player would be going with Neil Diamond on, and we had that camaraderie together that I think has carried on and has banished that what went on in the 60s and 70s.
Undoubtedly. I mean, they weren't great players either, and I think they had a cosy second team environment, and I don't know. I struggle to put my finger on it when I look back, and
they were a lot older. They were a lot older, Stan, in them days. I mean, when I
certainly seemed like it. I mean, don't forget, I'm like 12.
Yeah,
and they're in the late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there were characters like, and Joe wanted me to tell this tale. Characters like Alan Suthers, who stuck up for me, and Peter Scaife. Tommy Olmsted's granddad, and Harry Olmsted's granddad, obviously. And I was a cheeky kid in the changing room. Never said boo to a goose outside it. And as a punishment, they used to grab me, and we had a kit bag because only the best batsmen had their own gears, and the rest shared stuff out. So they'd empty all the stuff out the kit bag, zip me up in the kit bag, and then promptly boot the kit bag. Throw it around, all in fun. This wasn't bullying. And my mum got to hear about it. So she pulled Suthers and said, like, what's going on? So Suthers said, it's just a bit of fun, Peggy. And they relented, and I was allowed to put my box on before I got in the bag. And then, you'd have a withheld, a pulled back kick, a boot and all that bit, turned upside down, shoved it bin. And I love that, to be honest. I bloody loved it. But the other stuff, when I look back at, I still see one or two of them occasionally, but it stuck with me.
Suthers did he used to have steel toe caps and he used to flick it up with his boot?
Well, yeah,
that's true.
When he bowled, and he wasn't a regular second team bowler, but he was certainly a good net bowler. He dragged his back foot, so he had a steel toe cap put in it. And the seconds, I think 1971 or 70, possibly 73, time phase. They get to the second 11 Cup final, and we were a bad side. Somehow get to the second 11 Cup final at Colne, and Colne want 4 to win off the last ball. And they pull it to Suthers, who's fielding at long leg. And he runs round the top boundary at Colne, sticks his steel toe cap foot out to stop the ball. No diving in them days. He takes his toe cap, lobs up in air, catches it in his left hand, and he's left-handed, slings it in, and they run out. We win by 1. And, it could have gone anywhere off his bloody toe. And it lobs up and drops into his hand. So he gets mobbed. I'll tell you who was in that team, Leighton James.
All right, yeah.
Leighton James was in that team.
That's right behind your head, isn't it? One of those right behind your head.
Yeah, right. The first thing Suthers ever said to me after I'd been in first team a few years was, "Are you? Oh, you're the wicket keeper, aren't you?" Have you tried catching it?
Because he was away from the club a long time. He lived abroad for a while, and then he came back, and it was great. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long because a couple of years, and unfortunately, he passed away. And he wasn't that old either. But he was a character.
Just going to ask, Gav, we're talking about cricket bags. Was there not a story about someone adding some adult magazines in a young player's cricket bag? Who did that happen to?
Me, Simon Payne.
Oh, it were you, right? All right, okay.
Yeah. But he, unbelievable, very funny.
So
I remember. Because obviously I'd only be about 15, and so I'd get home and it can't have happened before because my mum never pulled me on it at all. And I got home and I put my bag in the kitchen, and I thought I needed something. I went for some reason. I went into my cricket bag and just on top of all my dirty stuff where my mum had got in to get all washing out. Were an interesting magazine, shall we say?
Oh, so you discovered it before Lynn saw it?
Yeah. So
oh,
I never got done for it.
Oh,
One of the
right,
best ones were the ones rolled up dart mat in Lane Ends and put that in my cricket bag. I went to pick it up and my arm nearly come out to it. So bloody hell.
You remember when they put the Accrington mirror in the bottom of Mickey's bag?
Mickey's bag.
And he unzipped my bag to get me dirty washing out. He said, there's somebody looking back at me.
It was his fiberglass coffee.
So typical, he
really
don't get it back to Accrington. Maureen takes it back.
Maureen had to take it back. Oh, funny.
Top gags.
Yeah, funny.
Well, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
See you on the 30th.
See you later.
If not before. Good night, God bless.
Order! Send more house to save the house!